Okay, now that we've talked about startups in general and the legal issues that they face, I'd like to spend some time talking about South Florida startups specifically, since that's where we live and the community here is important to us. So let's start with this short video done by a local news station.
We broadcast every morning here in downtown Miami, a city best known for its beaches, sunshine, diverse population, and a crazy real estate market. But what you may not know is that Miami is home to an emerging high-tech industry that's quietly taking hold. NBC's Kerry Sanders joins me in the studio with that story. Kerry, how are you?
Well, good morning, Jose.
Nice to see you.
There are a lot of notable names who have come from Miami in high tech. Jeff Bezos, who graduated from Palmetto High School here in South Florida. And then there's Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook, who graduated from North Miami High. But they had to leave South Florida to make their way in high tech. Bezos going off to the Seattle area, Sheryl Sandberg making her way eventually at Facebook in the San Francisco area in Silicon Valley. But it may be a little bit of hype to suggest that Miami is now trying to replicate and become its own Silicon Valley, but clearly there is a digital highway that is taking hold here, and why may surprise you.
The lure of Miami has always been seductive. Turns out coders, known for locking themselves in a room for weeks at a time, also like the beach and Miami's tropical pace of life.
Can you raise your left hand?
STS, an online emergency room, was created and coded here in Miami.
Yes, ma'am. This is Rescue 2 with a possible stroke alert.
This internet company in South Florida because of a competitive bandwidth speed and a bilingual workforce. Especially appealing when companies look south to expand in Latin America. In just 6 years, the number of people online in Latin America has doubled. Ratio Contact, founded in Germany.
Hast du kurz 2 Minuten?
Ja, na klar, logisch.
But in Miami, in part because of this fortress, a gateway internet hub that provides the fastest link between North America and South America.
You could have set up in California, Silicon Valley. You could have chosen the Route 128 Boston area, maybe the Research Triangle. Why Miami?
Milliseconds.
And so the speed that you get by being here in Miami versus being in Germany, milliseconds.
Yes. But still, if you have a major website, a major app on the internet, these milliseconds really make a difference.
Well, I don't think there'll ever be another Silicon Valley. Miami is going to cut its own path. But can Miami be more of a place that's much more innovative, that's producing high-impact entrepreneurs and big ideas? You bet.
So the question may not be where is the next Silicon Valley, because everybody's racing to try to be that, whether it's Austin, Texas, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or Brooklyn, New York. But Jose, clearly even Miami, a place best known for vacations, is part of what's going on.
So, Kerry, what niche could Miami carve out of this?
Well, it's interesting. The Knight Foundation, who we heard from Matt Hagman, they've committed more than $7 million to stimulate what's going on with trying to get this going. This is opposed to government money coming in. And what they found is, because of the proximity to Latin America and the bilingual population here, people who speak Portuguese and people who speak Spanish are developing businesses here that work with that huge population just to the south.
Kerry, you speak great Spanish. Are you working on your Portuguese?
No fale Portugués.
Kerry Sanders. Since 1991, I've been your friend and your admirer, my friend. It's good to see you. Thanks so much, Kerry.
Okay, so that's one video about Miami's technology scene. Let's scroll through that. Matt Hagman, who was formerly the head of grant making for entrepreneurship at the Knight Foundation. This is a great article from the Miami Herald about their efforts. Now I want to play for you another video. Jarrett Davis is an alumni of the law school, and he is managing partner or shareholder at Greenberg Traurig, which is a major law firm downtown. So let's see what Jarrett has to say about Miami as a startup community.
My name is Jarrett Davis.
a proud Miami native, and I'm also the managing partner for the Miami office of Greenberg Traurig. We're an international law firm, 1,950 attorneys, but we're also headquartered and founded in Miami. We've had an emerging technologies practice group for some time, and we're proud to see the growth, and we're proud to play a role in this wonderful tech ecosystem that's been exploding in Miami-Dade County. Well, it's funny. Miami's always had an entrepreneurial flavor, and I think a lot of that could track back to our history. It's always been a town of immigrants, a town of folks coming in from elsewhere, and I think people with that kind of background have an entrepreneurial flavor to them. And so it makes sense that now we've had that explosion. Now, what do we offer? We offer connectivity. Basically, any kind of ecosystem you see out there has a connectivity of mentors, of service providers, sources of capital, etc. And Miami has developed that over the years. So if you are a startup, you're not alone. The one thing that kills startups is isolation. They need to be with other startups. They need to be with peers. They need to be with mentors. And right now, Miami has built that ecosystem so that they can thrive. I would say that our two biggest sources of challenge tend to be access to capital, as well as collaboration with universities. We have them. We have VCs, we have private equity, we have actually very strong crop of angels, but we can always use more. So I say that's one. And then the second one is we're blessed with some phenomenal education institutions, but I would say to strengthen those ties among those institutions and the connectivity between them and the startup community could be stronger. Events like Emerge Americas accomplish two goals. Number one is a marketing goal. It tells the story, it evangelizes. So the beauty of events like Emerge is it lets the world know that these amazing technologies, these amazing solutions are being generated. Also, it provides connection. So it brings everyone together because once again, entrepreneurs are very busy people, their sources of capital are very busy people. It provides a one-stop shop that allows everyone to come together and collaborate. Digital healthcare has been interesting. Understand, South Florida is an interesting healthcare market. Most healthcare markets are driven by one of two verticals, either the geriatric component or the pediatric component. Miami-Dade County has both. So because of that, we're blessed to have a number of first-class health institutions. We've got Jackson Health Systems, Baptist Health Systems, Miami Children's Health Systems. These health systems are at the cutting edge. And so part of that is digital health. How do you have that nexus of IT and healthcare to provide better service to your patients and better clinical outcomes in terms of how you process the data? So as we speak, there's innovations in telemedicine, there's innovations in data warehousing, and a variety of other areas to improve these outcomes. I think it's going to be sunny. I think, somebody just used an expression I hadn't heard before, and they said, Miami itself is being incubated. And I think that's so true. I think that, the last 5 years have been remarkable for this jurisdiction. I think we're starting to see results. We haven't even talked about Magic Leap, the amazing things that company is doing. Everything we're seeing, we're going to see some interesting results from it. There'll be some who don't make it. That's the nature of the ecosystem. That's the nature of entrepreneurship. But in a macro sense, I think that the city, the jurisdiction is going to keep increasing and keep rising.
Now, I completely agree with Jarrett. The city of Miami itself is being incubated, which means that it's being it's maturing and growing into a place for entrepreneurs and startups to succeed. I mean, it's one of the things I moved to Miami just a few years ago, and I see here in Miami what I saw in New York when I went there about 20 years ago, which was a big city with a lot of resources, but a nascent startup scene and one that can grow. And so that makes it a great time for you to be in law school and interested in these issues. Because if you were in law school in Silicon Valley and you wanted to be a startup lawyer, there'd be a few traditional firms you could go to, but it'd be very hard to work your way into that community because it's already pretty developed. There's already a good number of attorneys. Miami's not that way. Miami has a lot of great opportunities, a lot of growth ahead of it for young attorneys who want to practice in this field. So if I was in law school, if I was in your shoes, I'd be really excited about the opportunities in front of me here in Miami. If you're interested in general information about funding of startups throughout the country, the PricewaterhouseCoopers does a report every quarter, I believe, called the Money Tree Report. And this report can provide a lot of great information and data about how many venture capital deals have happened, where they're happening, etc. if you look on the map here, this is the top 20 cities drawing most venture capital investment. And the size of the circle is representative of the size of investment. Now, as we can assume or know, the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, is where the majority of, or not the majority, but the largest amount of venture capital investment occurs. Outside of that, you've got New York and Boston and LA as the next kind of tier of cities. And then you get into Atlanta, San Diego, Seattle, Chicago as the next tier. And then after that, in Austin. And then after that, you have towns like Miami, St. Louis, Denver, Dallas, etc. So Miami is holding its own. It's got a lot of growth potential. You know, Miami is the 9th largest municipality by population, but only in the top 20 for venture capital funding. That means there's a lot of opportunity to grow, which I'm excited about. And this article just came out last year, 2018. Denver, Austin, Miami are the top upcoming tech startup markets. One of the things is, while Miami is not a cheap city, it's not as expensive as San Francisco, Silicon Valley, or New York or Boston. So it's a little bit more affordable. There's a little bit more space. There are some specific fields here in Miami that are really booming. So virtual currency has got a lot of support here in South Florida. A lot of med tech, which we saw in the previous videos. Magic Leap with its augmented reality, virtual reality offerings. So there's a lot of great things going on here in Miami, and I'm really excited to be working in the startup community here at this time.